Western Japan shuddering under a massive 6.2 magnitude earthquake, slamming shores, stirring nuclear nightmares. Fears exploding of a mega quake as experts are warning of underestimated risks at the power plants there. We are telling you more about these tremors that have been threatening millions.
This is the moment a massive quake struck Japan. This is Shimane nuclear power station shaking vigorously. The 6.2 magnitude monster struck western Japan, rattling homes from Shikoku to Kyushu, hurling furniture and cracking roads in its savage grip. Panic surges through the coastal towns, tsunami sirens wail, quake alert systems went into an overdrive. Just weeks ago, a 7.5 trembler scared the region. Now, this aftershock revives the ghost of Nankai Trough. A mega quake that could unleash $8 trillion in devastation, dwarfing 2011's horror. While the official mega quake advisory was recently lifted, this latest jolt proves the Earth does not follow government schedules. Chilling new reports suggest that Japan's nuclear operators, specifically Chubu Electric, may have underestimated the seismic risks to their facilities. At the Hamaoka nuclear plant, critics argue the defensive walls are no match for the true fury of a Nankai Trough megaquake. We are looking at a potential multi-billion-dollar disaster that could dwarf the $200 billion cleanup of Fukushima. The Nankai Trough is a ticking time bomb. It is a subduction zone capable of generating a magnitude 9 event that could send tsunamis racing towards the coast in minutes. Despite the high-tech sensors and the world's most advanced early warning systems, the recent cluster of activity suggests the plates are slipping. The government urges caution, but for the millions living in the shadow of the reactors, caution feels like a thin shield against a shifting continent. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's start off with a question now. Is America forgetting some of its strongest contributors? As immigration and welfare dominate national debates, one community standing out yet seems overlooked in political rhetoric. We are talking about Indian Americans. According to new reports, Indian Americans are not welfare takers in the US. They are, in fact, the welfare makers. They are powering the US economy, creating jobs, contributing billions in tax revenue. Let's just break this down further. Recent data highlighting a crucial reality. While other immigrant groups are prominent in welfare statistics, Indian Americans hardly register. Their household incomes are among the highest in the country and their education levels are extraordinary. A large percentage work in STEM fields, medicine, management, technology. These highly skilled jobs drive innovation and competitiveness in the United States. Now, where do these immigrants come from? The next question. The H-1B visa program, which is often criticized in political debates, is central to this story. This program brings skilled workers from India to fill shortages in high-demand sectors. And these workers pay taxes, buy homes, support local businesses, and in many cases, they create jobs, both in startups and large corporations. Far from being a drain on the system, they strengthen the economy and provide a lifeline to critical industries. In fact, President Trump recently highlighted immigrant households receiving welfare, but skipped over Indian Americans despite their long track record of contribution. The fact is, they pay more in taxes than they receive in benefits. just to put this simply. And in the end, Indian Americans are more than just model immigrants. They are net contributors who are engineering America's growth and strengthening bilateral ties with India, a country that is both an economic partner and a strategic ally. Days after America conducted that shock operation in Venezuela, capturing Nicolas Maduro, bringing him to the U.S. to face trial on drug trafficking charges, questions continue to multiply. Was Trump's Venezuela operation just diversion to shift focus from the Epstein files fallout? President Trump has long portrayed himself as a leader averse to foreign military conflicts. He has fashioned himself as a peacemaker. And that is precisely why this Venezuela operation raised eyebrows. It came at a moment when Trump was under intense pressure back at home over the release of the Epstein files, documents that renewed scrutiny of powerful political figures, including President Donald Trump himself. And as the days went by and as more and more allegations and questions surfaced, and as redaction deadlines loomed for the Department of Justice, discontent began brewing within Trump's own MAGA base as well. With the midterm polls fast approaching and control of the Congress at stake, critics say that Donald Trump needed a big and decisive shift to try and change the public narrative against him. And Venezuela, they say, became that vehicle. Illinois governor, meanwhile, warning publicly that Donald Trump could escalate tensions with Venezuela to divert attention from the Epstein-related scrutiny, and House oversight Democrats noted the convenient timing of the Trump administration's Venezuela strikes. Convenient timing is what they called it. Veteran political strategist James Carville went further, calling the operation a desperate distraction from Epstein, from inflation, from the rising cost of living in America. That's not all. A Democratic representative also dismissing the narcotics justification outrightly, calling the operation a political diversion rather than a drug enforcement action. Other Democrats have also described it as regime change driven by oil interests. And then even within Trump's own party, dissent has surfaced. A Republican congressman has already called the move unconstitutional, and on social media as well, anti-American suspicion has exploded. Online debates were awash with claims that Venezuela was a deliberate diversion. They are saying that the Venezuela operation was a deliberate distraction. That's not all. Data now supporting that perception as well. Searches for Epstein files dropped sharply almost overnight as news of the Venezuela operation dominated the headlines. Still, the Trump supporters rejected the criticism as liberal spin. Remember, Trump has been mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files, reportedly primarily as part of Epstein's social circle. No new criminal charges have emerged, but the Justice Department faces growing pressure to explain redactions and release the further material. Pressure that has peaked just days before the Venezuela strikes. But this was not an entirely new obsession for Donald Trump. Remember, he has spoken about it openly, about intervening in Venezuela since his first term. In fact, he has repeatedly floated the idea of seizing Venezuela's oil, which is home to the world's largest proven reserves. And in recent months, we have reported about how Trump has escalated that rhetoric, invoked disputed oil fields, even referenced the Alien Enemies Act, remember, while threatening deportations of Venezuelans. Critics are saying that that was groundwork for military action, laid out well before January 3rd, and history suggesting that this pattern is not unprecedented as such for America. Remember, 1998, President Bill Clinton faced impeachment over the Monica Lewinsky scandal. America launched missile strikes on Sudan and Afghanistan. Republicans at the time accused him of wag the dog tactics, quote unquote. In the early 2000s, meanwhile, George W. Bush, under fire over intelligence failures ahead of 9/11, built the case for war in Iraq. An invasion later justified by weapons of mass destruction that were never found. In 1986, Ronald Reagan bombed Libya amid domestic criticism over the Iran-Contra affair and a struggling economy as well. We have seen American presidents act this way multiple times in the past, under pressure, History shows presidents often look outward, which brings us to the last, perhaps most consequential question here. Oil. Venezuela, remember, holding nearly 20% of the world's proven oil reserves. That is around 303 billion barrels. More than Saudi Arabia, yet it produces less than 1% of global crude, barely 1 million barrels a day. After Maduro's capture, Trump promised U.S. companies would revive Venezuela's shattered oil industry. He said Washington needed total access to its oil fields. But experts are saying that reviving Venezuela's production to 3 million barrels a day could reportedly take 10 to 20 years and up to $100 billion. Even short-term gains depend on lifting sanctions, restoring legal certainty, restructuring debt, and also ensuring political stability. None of which are guaranteed. Which is why you will not be surprised when you hear this. Americans are not too pleased, just to put this simply. A Reuters Ipsos poll showing 1 in 3 Americans supports the strike, 1 in 3. But nearly 3/4 worry the US could become too deeply involved. And the concerns persist about cost escalation, the risk to American lives. Sure, Trump's approval rating has ticked up, but what is clear right now is Venezuela's vast oil wealth may promise billions on paper, but it cannot erase the political, legal, and moral costs of this operation. And the boomerang may be felt sooner than America realizes. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.